Can DC surpass Marvel in 2025? Seems like an impossible mission, because the last time DC managed to compete with Marvel in theaters was way back in 2012 with the release of The Dark Knight Rises. With the upcoming releases of Spider-Man 4, Avengers Doomsday, and Secret Wars, which will be the biggest multiverse crossover we have ever seen, DC has a lot of competition to compete with, but still has a chance to catch up. Even though they have 2 projects releasing to Marvel's 9, they have a shot to catch up to Marvel. You might think it's BS, but DC has fewer projects like Superman Legacy, in which their trailer got over 50 million views, highlighting massive interest versus the very low interest Ironheart and Wonder Man from Marvel. What DC needs to do is capture audience interest, otherwise it's dead on arrival and prove themselves to their audience. Part of this is gaining the trust of the old DCEU audience and even the Arrowverse shows. You have to keep these 2 sets of fans happy and engaged. Peacemaker might be the link between these 2 fans, but also the problem. James Gunn, even though he wanted one continuity in the DCU, not like in the DCEU with separate of the same characters in different TV shows and movies, still has that problem. The Batman being in a different universe than Superman Legacy, and Peacemaker Season 1 being in the DCEU, but Season 2 being canon to the new DCU, even though they had that one end credit scene with the old Justice League. This will confuse normie viewers even more going into 2025, not knowing which projects to watch. Normies who don't watch director interviews in which James Gunn said that the scene is not canon anymore just won't know. James Gunn restarting the DCEU with the DCU is banking on Superman Legacy to revitalize the franchise, much like Man of Steel in 2013. However, it seems like they've made some questionable character design choices. In a time when Deadpool, The Boys, and the Penguin are grabbing at everyone's attention, Superman can stand out by being a genuinely good guy who helps people without expecting anything in return. It will be quite challenging for Superman to reach $1 billion in the box office, especially given DC's recent poor performance. Even with the crossover between Superman and Batman didn't manage to hit over $1 billion. Not to mention, remember Blue Beetle? However, the most important point is that Superman doesn't need to make $1 billion. It needs to be a really debut movie, and it needs to leave an impact on the audience. People need to leave the movies thinking that it was the best movie of the year, and not just some superhero fatigue slop. Additionally, Peacemaker's Season 2 release in 2025 builds the momentum of the Season 1's release. Also, with the momentum of the Penguin's success on HBO, James Gunn's track record, the superhero projects, and working on the Guardians of the Galaxy in the MCU gives DC audience good confidence in his abilities to make this work. I get that this confuses fans and makes it seem like James Gunn is cherry-picking the projects he likes and throwing out the ones he doesn't, especially because his wife stars in Peacemaker. But fans are hungry for more content after the Penguin's success, so maybe this wouldn't make a difference. Marvel will release 9 projects in 2025. However, few seem impactful. In January, they will release Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, a show that's catered towards the more down-to-the-ground Spider-Man experience, rather than the Iron Man/Multiverse one we have gotten. It was also a show that was originally supposed to be a Civil War prequel, but this is now set in a different universe. It could be a rival to Marvel's Spectacular Spider-Man, for example. In February, we're expecting the release of Brave New World. While Captain America is a massive franchise that has generated over $2.2 billion overall, it doesn't carry the same star power as Superman. Additionally, Sam Wilson does not capture attention in the same that Steve Rogers does. But we are really waiting for Chris Evans to reprise his role as Captain America in Doomsday. Marvel is in a weird position in which they are pivoting away from the Kang storyline they've been setting up in Loki and the Ant-Man Quantumania movies into Doctor Doom, so there is a high uncertainty in what projects will include. Fantastic Four First Steps is their strongest card, but it faces an uphill battle due to the team's poor cinematic history. Releases like Ironheart and Wonder Man, which are very unpopular characters, have very low and lack audience interest in their stories. I think they should just drop them. While shows like Daredevil Born Again provide some nostalgia by bringing characters from the Netflix TV shows over, we get to see how they perform and act in the MCU, especially The Punisher, as we now know Disney is not shy in putting more gore and adult-rated content in their universes. Daredevil will premiere in the first half of the year. However, by the end of the year, people might not even remember the series, regardless of its quality. If you don't believe me, consider what happened with X-Men 97. We enjoyed every episode and I still argue that it's the best show of the year and the best X-Men adaptation we've ever seen. Daredevil will 100% crush Peacemaker Season 2 with views. In May, we've got Thunderbolts, which could be fun. The trailers look solid, and Marvel seems to be aiming for a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe with a team of misfits who aren't actually superheroes. And in June, we have Ironheart. No one cares about this character. No one was interested in her debut in Black Panther 2. Marvel's lineup doesn't seem designed to challenge DC's flagship Superman movie head-on. Robert Downey Jr.'s reprisal as Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four will definitely shift the narrative towards Marvel's favor, because he could be a variant of Iron Man. Or there is a theory going on that Iron Man is an anomaly in the multiverse, and that Robert Downey Jr.'s face is the only Iron Man in one universe, but Doctor Doom in all the others. This could be a really good play for leveraging his immense popularity. The Fantastic Four are a very well-known team. Amazing stories in the comics. However, most people don't know that because of their lackluster performances in the first 2 Fox movies, and the third one is utter dog.
Say that again?
Still, Superman Legacy's success hinges on critical acclaim, audience approval, and the strength of Gunn's leadership in launching a revitalized DC universe. 2025 may mark a turning point, though the superhero genre's crown remains Marvel's to lose. There are 45 movies and 15 shows to catch up on. Sounds a little crazy, right? Eyes of Wakanda and Marvel Zombies are going to be interesting experiments, and Wonder Man might feel like a longer version of the last episode of She-Hulk, featuring a character most people don't really know or care about. Kevin Feige says they're really doing something original with it. It will be a shocker if the show really takes off on Disney Plus and competes with Peacemaker, especially since there's no buzz around it right now. However, things could change in 2025, and with all the excitement around the new DC universe, Supergirl and Lanterns might end up being huge hits. Even Batman 2 could benefit, even if it's not part of the new DC lineup. If the DC brand gets a fresh start in 2025, every DC project could go well. Or maybe I'm jumping the gun here, the James Gunn. Everything could come crashing down if Marvel throws a Robert Downey Jr. cameo into a Fantastic Four movie. It makes sense since the movie's set in another universe. So Robert could pop up as a Doctor Doom variant. That would connect it to Doomsday and drive fans to the theaters to see Robert's comeback. Marvel could totally steal the show on social media through 2026, and suddenly people might forget DC even exists, which could hurt Superman's box office numbers. Even though Superman is a bigger character than Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr. is definitely more loved than David Corenswet. It isn't surprising that the Doomsday announcement video of Robert taking off the mask is one of the most watched videos on Instagram. If I were Kevin Feige, I would have filmed that cameo yesterday to make sure Fantastic Four crushes it at the box office and send a strong message to James Gunn now that he's in charge of DC. Marvel could push DC back into second place if Robert Downey Jr. returns as Doctor Doom. That would be a smart move. So this explains why DC could defeat Marvel in 2025. Hope you have a nice day and subscribe.